Well, I think it's indicative of the work that I put in, and that I had a message that resonated with the voters. And I worked really hard, and I went to plenty of doors to tell them that I am here to do the work and make the necessary difficult decisions that we're going to face. But I won't forget the people in the district, and I won't forget those that truly need our help, and that I will take all of those things into consideration when making these tough decisions. And I will do that by bringing whoever needs to come to the table together to have those conversations. And that message resonated. Everyone's main concern was the budget, and I don't blame them. I mean, it's my main concern as well. And we need to make sure that whatever we do to help solve this problem is going to be a combination of raising revenues, being more realistic about our revenues, and also, unfortunately, cuts. And we can't look to just one specific area in order to solve our problems. It's not going to happen. So we need to be very realistic. And we need to make sure that in our effort to balance the budget, that we're not doing more harm. And I think a lot of that comes down to how we go about making these cuts. Over the past few years, it's been talked about cutting aid to municipalities. And one of my messages was, and still is, that I believe cutting aid to municipalities does nothing to solve the budget problems long term. And what it does essentially is just transfer the burden to the middle class taxpayer. If we keep cutting services and cutting municipal aid together, then the municipalities are going to be required to make that up. So the need doesn't go away for some of these programs. It's now going to fall on municipalities. And if they're going to have to do that, where are they going to get that money? By raising your mill rate, raising your property taxes. So we need to really look at our tax structure as a whole and see that we have an over-reliance on property taxes. Because that over-reliance, I believe, is just a direct assault on the middle-class taxpayer, and I'm not going to stand for it anymore. Well, I think that, first of all, if anyone sits in this seat and tells you that they exactly know the answer, don't believe them. No one knows exactly what we can do until we start seeing data come in. You have to make decisions based on the data that you see and talk to the people intimately involved in the programs that you're looking at. And so when I was out on doors talking to voters, I did meet a lot of people who, number one, worked in the social services industry and who also were receiving benefits from social services. And I do have a great many concerns with privatization, especially because I spoke to one woman who had said that she is hiring people who can barely read and write. And these are the people who are supposed to be administering medications. That's not where we need to go with this. That's not going to solve a problem. That's going to create a host of other problems. So the first step, I believe, in solving any problem or crisis is to ask those who have intimate knowledge of this. And that means bringing the right people to the table. I believe in researching the ripple effects of any legislation. And I can truly make this promise that I will never vote on something without sitting down and really thinking of those ripple effects. It has to be a combination of all things. There's not one single revenue problem. There's not one single tax issue. There's not one. I mean, it's so many things that go into it, and so we're not going to be able to cut our way out of it. We're not going to be able to tax our way out of it. We need to look at all of the options and decide. Once again, whatever we do, it has to do more good than it will do harm. We need to look at partnerships. When a lot of times when you say add new opportunities or add something, people read that as it's going to cost a ton of money. That's not what we're looking at. We are looking at partnering opportunities so that we can help to create a workforce that is ready for the jobs that will be open, right? And so that means inviting the business community in and helping and having them help create curriculum that will prepare these students for the jobs that they see coming down the pike. It's a natural partnership, and I think it's going to reap wonderful rewards. I'm hopeful. And you know, there is a whole new crop of people coming in who really believe, myself included, that we need to stop thinking about ourselves as Democrats and Republicans, and we need to start thinking about that we are representing the people of the state. And I am going to put forth a commitment to say that as long as it's a good idea, I don't care where it comes from. If it helps the state, if it benefits the people of my district, I'm going to support it. The truth of it all. I don't see myself as a politician, and I recognize how ridiculous that sounds, right? But I don't. I see myself as a public servant. And that, you know, my kindergartner is learning how to do things that fill his bucket. And so that's the term that I use. Helping people, helping to figure out these issues, making the state of Connecticut a great place for me, my children, my neighbors, my parents. These are things that fill my bucket. So when I'm asked, why would you run knowing you're going to have to do things that are unpopular? The answer just simply is because it's the right thing to do. You know, one of the big things that is going to come out of this session is the need for compromise. And that is on a great many things. But some of the things that I need to focus on are making sure that my district, and with that I also mean smaller communities, suburban communities, are not overrun by the needs of the cities. And we need to find a balance. So for instance, there is a call to consolidate health districts. Something like that would be very beneficial to, say, New Haven or to Hartford, but it would just wreak financial havoc on my 3 towns. So it's going to be my job this session to make sure that I can effectively communicate that the needs of the suburbs are going to be just as important as the needs of the cities. And that perhaps we can find some compromise that allows the cities to, maybe it incentivizes them to consolidate health districts, but doesn't require it. We don't need the mandates. Cheshire especially, and also Southington and Wallingford, has proven that we've done a really great job of being fiscally responsible. And I don't feel that it's necessary for the state to put its thumb down on us and say what we can and cannot spend, or how we have to spend our money, when we've been making pretty good decisions already.